So who was the first person to download something from the cloud to a tablet? Oh, that was Moses. That's right, it was Moses. See you next week.
Hi friends, we are on week 4 of our memory verse, and this week is going to get crazy. You ready? We're gonna say it normal and then it's gonna get weird, all right? 1, 2, 3. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Okay, you ready? We're gonna say it really, really quiet. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Okay, did you do it? Was it so quiet that no one could hear you? You're probably quieter than me because I can't be very quiet because I'm very loud, which makes this next one my favorite. You ready? We're going to say it as loud as we can, but no screaming because no one likes screaming. 1, 2, 3. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. I'm not great. Have a good week. Pastor Danielle, we are in
Week 4
of our Bible story, Victory! Victory! And we're going to be talking about 2 Kings chapter 6.
Yep, and it's in the Old Testament. And this is a pretty different type of story.
It is. There's a lot happening.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah.
So Israel, they're not really getting along with each other.
No, times are tough for them. They're just like fighting. Kids, you've never fought with anyone before, right?
Oh, no, not these guys.
No,
they're
no,
perfect.
no. Yeah, totally.
But other people that have fought,
Yeah,
right?
they know what
So
we're
they're
talking
kind of like fighting like siblings almost. And they're like, I'm going to my separate rooms.
Yeah, they like banished each other, and they actually created 2 new nations. One was called Israel, and one was called Judah.
Yep, so Israel was in the north and Judah was in the south.
Yeah, and because of this separation and because they weren't really following God at this time, they just kept on getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
It's true. We don't live up to our full potential when we're not following God.
Totally. And so because of that, the Israelite enemies noticed and they started attacking.
Yeah, they did, especially one particular nation, and that was Aram.
Yeah, Aram started attacking. They would come out and they'd be like, ha, these guys are weak, and then go and but something crazy was happening.
Yeah, even though they weren't following God, God was still taking care of them. Yeah. So God would hear all the plans, and he would then tell Elisha about them.
Yeah, and Elisha would be like, oh, these are terrible plans. Let me go tell the king so that we can take care of this.
Yeah, and so Israel was always ready and prepared for each battle that they faced.
Yeah, and there was one particular time where the armies of Aram was like, oh, we're going to take care of this and we're going to destroy the city. So they completely surrounded the city, and it was a big problem. So far, in fact, that Elisha's servant came to Elisha and was like, what's going on?
Yeah, and the servant was like, he was really, this is not great. And Elisha's like, no, it's fine. God's taking care of it. Because Elisha saw something that the servant couldn't see.
Yeah, and so Elisha prayed to God and asked God to open up the servant's eyes to see what Elisha saw.
Yeah, and what he saw was that they were not alone. In fact, they were surrounded by a heavenly army.
Yeah, like all these angels just ready to go at it for them. It was crazy.
Yeah, it really, I mean, that's amazing.
That is. And so then Elisha was like, all right, we're going to pray that God blinds the Aram army. And so he prayed that they got blinded, and they were.
Yep. Couldn't see anything.
Yeah, and so then after they were blinded, he's like, hey, you're in the wrong place. So he guided the army, which this is wild to me. Yeah. He guided the army into the capital city of Samaria.
I know, the fact that they listened, like that's kind of nuts.
They were just like, well, okay, I don't know what we're doing, but okay.
But they did. They followed Elisha because they can't see. They trusted him, and they go somewhere. And now they were surrounded by the Israelite army.
Yeah, it was crazy. So then Elisha prayed that their eyes were reopened.
And they were.
They saw all the things and they're terrified. They're like, oh no, what are we going to do?
Yeah, and then this is where Israel flips the script. Instead of attacking them, they actually blessed them.
Yeah, and they're like, let's feed you and give you clothes, because they know that God doesn't just care for the Israelites, he cares for everybody.
Yeah, so he showed them kindness, and then they go back to their king, and, well, they stopped fighting with Israel.
Yeah, I really think that they stopped fighting with Israel because they knew, or they discovered, what we know our big idea today is: God is powerful.
All right, it's time for family connections. So grab your family, let's circle around. We've got a couple questions that we want to talk about together. So question number 1, what's the most powerful thing you've ever seen or experienced? Is it good, powerful? Is it scary? What was it? All right, question 2, how does it compare with God's power? Remember, we've been learning this week that God is powerful. And question number 3, in our memory verse, Joshua 1:9, God told Joshua to be strong and courageous, and he was. If God told you the same thing, how would you respond? Would it look different than what you're doing now? All right, talk about it as a family. And if you have some really great answers, let us know in the comments.